Hi, how are you? I hope you're good. Welcome to Halloween, because it's October. It's not Halloween, but you know. Okay, I'm actually going to see Halloween, the new adaptation that just came out, in a little bit, so I have to hurry up and film this really fast. Hopefully very fast. I say that, but then I ramble. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is my copy. There is no dust jacket, so you can't really tell that it is The Picture of Dorian Gray, so I will be putting a book cover on the screen. Good, okay. The Picture of Dorian Gray is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. I just love it so much. So I am going to be very biased in this review, but I want to assure you that it's just so well worth the read, okay? If you haven't read this book, please pick it up and read it. Let's talk a little bit about Oscar Wilde before I get into the book. Oscar Wilde was born in 1854 and is the son of a surgeon and a writer. And later on, after traveling extensively, he settled in London, where he started writing, you know, short stories and plays and I think he even wrote some fairy tales. And it's during this time that most of his dramatic, well-known works is when he wrote them. And I'm referring to, you know, The Picture of Dorian Gray, as well as The Importance of Being Earnest, which is a play that's so well known. It's such a great play. Please read that as well. You can definitely tell that they're written by Oscar Wilde, though being very different, though they're kind of similar. I mean, The Importance of Being Earnest is more of a comedy satire, while The Picture of Dorian Gray is this gothic, eerie novel. But at the same time, it does have this take on society, which The Importance of Being Earnest does as well. One thing I want to talk about with Oscar Wilde that I think is really prevalent with The Picture of Dorian Gray, you see a lot of these underlying things going on. Oscar Wilde, later in life, towards I want to say the highlight of his success, he had an affair with this man, and he was then put on trial for homosexuality, and he lost this trial and was sentenced to 2 years of hard labor. But after he was released, he moved to France, where he shortly passed away due to sickness. I'm not exactly sure what he passed away to. I think it was meningitis. But there's a biography back here, let's check. On his release, he moved to France, where he died of meningitis in 1900. His life ended very tragically. I even think he was not really well off in this time. I don't think he had a lot of money, so he probably died sick and sad and alone. Anyway, Oscar Wilde, very sad. I'm going to link a video that was created by Books by Leynes in the description that I think is such an important video that everyone should watch if you're interested in Oscar Wilde. It's titled Oscar Wilde, the Man Behind the Mask, and it's such a great video. She talks about Oscar Wilde. She takes a quote that he wrote in a letter to a friend, and this quote in the letter talks about how he references himself or compares himself to the three main characters of The Picture of Dorian Gray: Basil, the artist, Lord Henry, and then Dorian Gray. He says, "I think I'm Basil, and the world views me as Lord Henry, but I wish I was Dorian Gray." And it's such a fascinating video that you should watch. Please do that. Now let's move into the actual story of The Picture of Dorian Gray. The Picture of Dorian Gray follows a young 20-ish young man named Dorian Gray. He is very innocent and naive and just good. You know, everyone loves Dorian Gray. They love him for his beauty and his kindness. He befriends an artist named Basil, and Basil quickly becomes infatuated with Dorian Gray. He begins drawing paintings of Dorian left and right, and it's through Dorian Gray being his muse that he creates his his epitome of work, his greatest piece of art, and it is a portrait of Dorian Gray. And it's through Basil that Dorian Gray meets Lord Henry. And Lord Henry, you could say, is Dorian Gray's downfall, but we'll get into that later. Lord Henry plants this idea into Dorian Gray's head that this portrait is all really Dorian Gray can ever hope to be, because it's showing his youth, his beauty, and that's all that really matters in life: youth, beauty, pleasure. As an impulse, Dorian Gray wishes that he himself can stay forever young while this portrait ages instead. And through some sort of magic of unknown origin, that wish comes true. Dorian Gray stays young forever while this portrait that he has of himself ages. It ages and it shows who Dorian truly becomes. And who he becomes is a monster. And that's the gist. I'm not going to tell you any more plot-wise. I don't want to spoil anything because honestly, you must read The Picture of Dorian Gray. What do I want to talk about with this? Let's talk about how this book views just beauty, vanity, pleasure. It's a really interesting take on society during this time. You could even talk about this book comparing it to now as well. You know, society then and now still view beauty in quite the same way. You know, beauty is everything. Whether it's beauty in who you are, how you look, beauty in the things that you own, and just the beauty in the things that you get to experience in all life's pleasures and whatnot. Lord Henry really corrupts Dorian Gray in this way. He's kind of this little devil on Dorian Gray's shoulder that convinces him to fall down this downward spiral. And though there are points when Dorian Gray does these horrible things, he might have a glimmer of guilt, you could say. But then Lord Henry is right there to convince Dorian that no, it's okay. What happened? Like, let me twist this into a way that makes this okay, and then continue on your dark path. That's just how I see it. Today, I think we can talk and compare this to social media. We are such a huge society that thrives off of validation, off of likes, off of hearts, off of ourselves, right? I don't know, it's just something to really think about in that way. I really think that one thing this novel is really conveying to the reader is take caution in the things that you value in life. If you only care about beauty and expensive objects and vanity and whatnot, you know, if these are the only things that you take value in your life, at the end of the day, those in the moment may give you pleasure, but you're not going to be happy. At the end of the day, these will not give you happiness, and you're going to feel empty inside. You know, someday you will look in the mirror and perhaps not like who you've become. Perhaps not even recognize the person right in front of you. And I think with The Picture of Dorian Gray, it's really interesting how we have this portrait of Dorian. Dorian is constantly being reminded of the person that he's becoming, and it's a curse. And it is just, it's such an interesting novel to read the downfall of this character. And another thing, the characters of this book. You never really fully grasp these characters, who they really are, because they all have this facade going on. Dorian Gray, which is really interesting that his last name is Gray, because Gray is so colorless, and Dorian Gray is such a colorless character. You never see who he is. And I, as a reader, often find myself going back to this work because you can never fully understand this story, because you never fully understand these characters. I don't want to keep talking on forever, so I am going to near the end of this video with a quote towards the end of this that we get from Lord Henry and Dorian. Lord Henry asked Dorian, "What does it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" "Why do you ask me that, Harry?" "My dear fellow," said Lord Henry, "I asked you because I thought you might be able to give me an answer. That is all." That quote always gets to me, mainly because I often find myself thinking, did Lord Henry do this on purpose to Dorian? Did he think one day, I'm going to try to plant these seeds in Dorian's head and I'm going to see how far I can corrupt this young man, just to see what happens, just to see how far we can take this. Lord Henry is a character that I despise so much, yet I absolutely love reading about him. You know, you love to hate the character. That's how I feel about Lord Henry. Anyway, the picture of Dorian Gray, I would say it's almost poetically written. It is so captivating, and just the writing, my gosh, the writing. Oscar Wilde crafts this book so masterfully that I highly recommend it to everyone. Again, this is one of those books that's perfect for October. It's so great. Yeah, have you read this? Do you have any thoughts or opinions on the picture of Dorian Gray? I would love, love, love to talk about this in the comments below, because this is just one of those books that you can just talk about so many different things. So please leave your thoughts and all of that in the comments. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and I will see you in another video very soon. I don't know what I'm going to be reviewing next, so if you have requests, leave those as well. Bye.